Hello, Earl Pugh here with Guitar Practicing 7. In Guitar Practicing 6, I stress the importance of chord tones and of starting and ending your blues licks on a chord tone. However, I neglected to explain what I meant by a chord tone. So, it's a simple idea. The chord tones are the notes in a chord, but if we play an E7 chord, the order of the notes is determined by the tuning of the guitar and by the position that you play the chord in. So it's not determined by logic. So we want to sort of step back and take the notes one at a time. As it stands, the E7 is E, B, D, G sharp, B, E. It's a great sounding chord, but that's not a logical order. So we're going to put the notes in a more logical order. We're going to put them as close together as we can. So we'd have an E, a G sharp, a B, a D, and then another E, G sharp, B, D, and we could put the E on the top. So if we gave the notes numbers, that would be 1, 3, 5, flat 7. 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. So an open A would have an A, an E, a G, a C sharp, and an E. Once again, great sounding chord, but not a logical chord. So in terms of the order of the notes. So once again, we can stack them up 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So 1 is also called the root. It's the name of the chord, the letter name. So we have an A, a C sharp, an E, and a G. And then it goes again. A, C sharp, E, G. On the B7, the order of the notes in the chord is B, D sharp, A, B, F sharp. But the more logical order of notes, if you're just thinking about the notes in a chord, would be to stack them up. B, D sharp, F sharp, A, B, D sharp, F sharp. So the formula for all seventh chords, you only need to learn one. It's 1, 3, 5, flat 7. On the A7, it's still the same numbers. It's different notes, but the same numbers. 1, 3, 5, flat 7. On the B is not an open string, but that doesn't matter. That's the 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So on the guitar, when we think about chords, we need to think about them two different ways. The quickest way to get a chord is think of the shape. I'm certainly not saying think of all 4 notes. Grab the shape, whichever one is good in the song at that point. But when you're thinking about soloing, you want to think about it differently. The chord think about the chord shape to get the position, but then there's notes available in that position that you're not playing in the chord. We don't want to neglect those. So once again, I recommend that you use a metronome. Go and click. I recommend that you set the metronome at a reasonable tempo. 60 is not a bad place to start. If you need to go slower than that, go slower than that. I wouldn't go faster than that. We want to just sort of get comfortable with where things fit. So I have an exercise to sort of get the chord sound, and then in 2 ways into your ears. One is as a chord, and then the other is as a collection of notes. So we're going to play a half note chord, and then we're going to follow it with an 8th note arpeggio. And each arpeggio, you could start it on any of the 4 notes, and it will sound slightly different. if you started on different notes. So it's really to your advantage. It's more interesting to the listener and to the player if you don't always start it on the one. That's it's a little too obvious, but it's not a bad place to start. It'll get old after a while. So the chord tone exercise, 2 beats of the chord, and then 8th note arpeggio stacked right up. 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and then 3, 5, flat 7, 1, and then 5, flat 7, 1, 3, and then flat 7, 1, 3, 5. So, so all the permutations. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we could go, further up. So we could start on the root again. 3, 4. And the 3 again. And the 5. Then on the A7, we could do those same 4 variations, starting on the 1, then the 3, then the 5, and the flat 7. 2, 3, 4. And on the B7. B7, fingers a little differently because we aren't starting on an open string. So the B7 doesn't start on an open string, but the same idea still applies. We start on the 1, then the 3, then the 5, and then the flat 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I recommend that you take these chord shapes and go back and examine boom boom, and notice that John Lee Hooker is indeed he's starting on a chord tone and he's ending on a chord tone. Now sometimes he's going to slide into that first chord tone, but we're still going to count that. Sometimes he's going to slide into that first chord tone, but we're still going to count that first B, which isn't, he's not playing it open, he's going to slide into it, but we'll count that. It's a chord tone on the E chord. It's a chord tone on the B7. It's not a chord tone on the A. It's still a good note, but it's not a chord tone. So for the purposes of this exercise, I wouldn't start there. So once you sort of see how he's centering around the chord tones, then you can take this concept and make up your own variations. One of the great things to do would be to take the idea, and instead of ending on a note from the minor pentatonic scale, and from a note that is and on a note that is not from the pentatonic scale, and on one that is from the chord. So on the E7 chord, and on the G sharp, on the A7 chord, and on the C sharp, on the B7 chord, and on the D sharp. And that'll give you a very different sound. It'll be a little less gritty, maybe a little more uptown than John Lee Hooker, but still the same idea. So, hope that this video has given you some ideas on how you might want to think about your soloing on a blues. This was a blues in E, using a lot of open strings, but the concept applies to all blues in any key. And I did it on acoustic guitar today, but this will work great on electric guitar. So we'll take a look at another tune next week. Thank you very much.